He just sent a serious message, as in a game where Gabe Perreault made his highly anticipated NHL debut, Artemi Panarin was not to be denied, keeping this team in playoff contention. We're going to break down some quotes from the Rangers star, as well as coach Peter Laviolette, as the future is uncertain for this team, but they are still in playoff contention. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with this New York Rangers team, it's free. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Now, the playoffs are coming very quickly, and the Rangers have only a handful of games left. And last night was very exciting because Gabe Perreault makes his NHL debut. And yes, he didn't score, didn't get a point or anything like that, but I thought he played well, put on a bit of a show, as you can see there with that move in the intro video. But it was very exciting, and we have a lot to get into today, so let's break it down. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is Mats Zuccarello returns to MSG, obviously a Rangers fan favorite, and very cool gesture by him in the warm-up, wearing number 40 with the last name Rosen on it for Sam Rosen. This is the last time that Zuccarello will play at MSG with Sam Rosen on the call, so really cool stuff. He was honoring a guy like Sam Rosen in the warm-up. I thought that was fantastic and noticed it. Just wanted to mention it. I thought that was really cool, and he's always really been a Rangers fan favorite. And the way that this organization did him was a little weird. But anyway, and handled that whole situation. The other thing I wanted to mention is, of course, Will Cuylle. He was named the winner of the 2024-25 Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award. And, his son was there. It was really cool. And not Will Cuyle's son, obviously. Stephen McDonald's son, and gave a great speech. So that was awesome to see. And, fantastic stuff from Will Cuylle all season. He's been having a very, very good season. So glad that he got that award. And to move on here, want to focus on something negative very quickly, because I feel like the Rangers yesterday, yes, they won, and it was Artemi Panarin that dragged them back into the fight, which I love, and you need that sometimes out of your star players and the whole team in general. But one guy who's been struggling all season is K'Andre Miller. And I mean, let's play a little game here for a second. Where does this puck go? That's what the game is called. And, we have a couple options here. So option A is off the boards to a wide open player right there, right? You have a wide open Mika Zibanejad right there on the right board. So option A is up the boards, right? Option B is right up the middle, which is not ideal. You do have a player streaking there up the middle. It's not ideal, maybe a little bit dangerous. Or option C, which I think a house league player in their first year when they're 4 years old knows not to do, is throw a pizza right into the middle of the ice by the hash marks, right? So what option do we think K'Andre Miller took? Obviously, the way this season has gone, he took option C, and where this puck goes after is absolutely mind-boggling, considering the options that he had. And, he didn't have much space, but he had enough space. So K'Andre Miller has been struggling, and he's been playing a little bit better as of late compared to the entire season, but not great. And I feel like the Rangers made a lot of mistakes last night where, they were playing a good game. They came out of the gate hot, and they made a lot of mistakes. So got to clean that up. They have to clean that up. You're right there. You're still right there tied in the playoff race. You do have a tiebreaker over Montreal, but obviously they have one more game in hand. So we don't know what's going to happen with that extra game. If it's a win or a loss for the Montreal Canadiens, we'll see. But as of right now, they do have a tiebreaker, kind of, because they've played one more game. But to move to Gabe Perreault, we'll get to Artemi Panarin in a second, and he had some very interesting comments that I want to get to as well. And Gabe Perreault said that Johnny Brodzinski has taken him under his wing. You can see some things on the bench with Brendan Othman as well, and they've become good friends through training camp and stuff like that. Gabe Perreault was talking about that yesterday before the game as well, so that was good to see. And he said it's good to have a guy like that makes you feel comfortable, that you can go and talk to at any time. So clearly a lot of the Rangers are opening, keeping the doors open, the stalls open. If you want to talk about anything, we know you're a new player here. This is your first time in the NHL. I really like that. So awesome stuff to see there from the Rangers, and Johnny Brodzinski kind of taking on a leadership role there. And he's been great all season. Like, when he's gotten into the games, Brodzinski's been fantastic. So really like to see that from Brodzinski. Now, Peter Laviolette had an interesting quote on Gabe Perreault as well that we should get into here, and he thought that he was really good, and you can see his game and the way he thinks the game out there, and that was, you know, evident in especially that first clip I played off the top of the video here and a couple of the moves he was making all night. I thought he jumped in and looked good. I thought all 4 lines were really good. It was balanced, and we were able to roll them out there. They all contributed. I thought he played a solid game, jumping into a big situation like that, and I mean, that's something that I'm glad Peter Laviolette acknowledged here in this quote in the post-game availability is that, you know, Gabe Perreault, this is his first NHL game, and the Rangers are in a playoff hunt right now. Like, every single point, every goal matters so much, and you're just dropping this guy who just came out of the NCAA right into the middle of that with just a handful of games left. So jumping into a big situation, and I'm sure the next one and the one after that, they'll be a little bit more natural for him as opposed to the first one, but I thought he played really well, and I thought he played well too, and honestly, it will come, right? He needs a couple more games to kind of get up to speed, and he's going to learn the league, and I think that's going to be really exciting once he does. But he's a smart player. He's a good player. I think he's going to figure it out sooner rather than later, so that's going to be fun to watch. Another quote from Peter Laviolette today as well is, we're in a little bit of a funk right now, and he's referring to the power play. And now the special teams is another thing that really needs to get going for the Rangers if they have any hopes of making the playoffs. And I know a lot of you are like, oh my goodness, how could you be talking about the playoffs? There's no way they're going to make the playoffs. They're tied. They're right there. Like, you can still absolutely make the playoffs. The Montreal Canadiens with a big win the other night, but they keep shooting themselves in the foot as well, just like the Rangers. It seems like nobody wants that last playoff spot. That's what it looks like to me. So they're still right there. They can still definitely make the playoffs. So some pretty good quotes there from Peter Laviolette on Gabe Perreault, and then obviously the power play has been struggling. Special teams, that's got to get going if the Rangers have any hope of making the playoffs. Now, Artemi Panarin, he sent a serious message last night, and he's been undeniable. And I mentioned a couple of videos ago, maybe the Rangers got to start looking at trading him. I think people took that the wrong way. What I mean is, start thinking about it, right? He's getting older. What direction do you want the team to go in? But do I think he's a bad player? No, he's elite. This guy's a great goal scorer. And you can see here, he secured his 5th 80-point season with the Rangers. Again, over a point per game player with the team again this year. And that ties Mark Messier for the most in team history. So he's been fantastic. He's been absolutely unbelievable, electric. He dragged the team back into the fight last night. And again, he scored that goal. He had the assist on the overtime winner. He was fantastic last night and has been all season, honestly. And, you know, is he the best defensive player? No, but, you know, he's putting in the work, right? So I love that. And Trocheck got the goal, but Artemi Panarin was not going to allow the Rangers to lose that game. One of the best single-game performances by any Ranger all season. He was awesome. And in a game where, like, you know, JT Miller isn't going to be the guy every single game. Other guys have to step up, and I'm glad Panarin stepped up last night in a big way. So that was really, really nice to see. And when you look at the playoff output, before we wrap up here, I mean, and what it's looking like, or the outlook, I should say, right now, I mean, the Rangers are on the outside looking in, but you are tied with the Montreal Canadiens. Columbus is 2 points back of you. Columbus has a big game, and they have 2 games in hand on you against the Toronto Maple Leafs coming up. The Toronto Maple Leafs are in a fight for first in the Atlantic Division, so you'd imagine the Leafs are going to come into that game pretty hard and want to win that game as well. So the Rangers are in a pretty good spot. Also, out of all the teams that are in the mix, the Rangers actually have a positive goal differential, which is insane to think about. And, you know, earlier this season when we were talking about Igor Shesterkin and everything like that, the Rangers actually have a positive goal differential compared to every other team in the mix. So thought that was crazy, and we'll see what happens down the stretch here with just a handful of games left. But let me know what you think in the comments about Artemi Panarin's game, Gabe Perreault's debut, and obviously the outlook on the playoffs right now. You're tied with the Montreal Canadiens. You're right there. Hopefully the Montreal Canadiens lose that game in hand and the Rangers can take advantage of their games left, but it doesn't get any easier. The schedule, they're playing some tough opponents coming up, and again, there's only a handful of games left, so you have to lock in here. There's really only 7 games left here in this season, but it would be really nice if you could, you know, send Sam Rosen off with a playoff game rather than just a regular season finale. I think that would, even in a loss, if you're not winning the Stanley Cup, it would just feel better to be in the playoffs with Sam Rosen one last time. But let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.